actually, I feel like people aren't mad enough about this situation, and I'm mad that he's fallen under this canceled category instead of in jail and behind bars. Because no matter how I look at it, this is some evil shit, allegedly. Order! 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 In the court when I'm speaking. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram. But you guys already read the title, so let's just get right into the video, shall we? Yes, this video has been very highly requested. I think I've seen it on almost every single comment section in the past like 2 months of uploads that I've done. So like 2 videos. You guys have been asking for me to rank these K-actor scandals, and you know how I am. If my besties ask for it, they will get it, as long as it's not my money. I will say though that a lot of these situations are very nuanced. There's a whole bunch of he said, she said, and a lot of the times these kinds of companies don't really tell us the whole story anyways. So I don't think we ever will get the full story on any of these situations. So I'm just gonna judge all of these based off of all the information that was given to the public. So it is gonna be in this little like hypothetical if-then format where it's like, if this happened, then this is my opinion or my ranking on the topic. And you guys are probably like, what the fuck is this paper she keeps flailing around? Guys, these are courts. This is court stuff. This is serious business. I need to be serious. These are the court cases, okay? I have all the files here on this 6-page document. In reality, guys, I can't be bothered. I cannot be bothered to memorize all of this stuff because these are situations where I can't just be like, I think that this happened. No, I need to make sure that these facts are correct. And on top of that, you guys know how much I talk. In the beginning of this, I just said that I was gonna get right into the video, and here I am explaining myself. So I just need to make sure I stay on track for what I have to say. So let's just get right into the ranking, shall we? Starting from the bottom, I have netizens are just bored and bitter. And this is for your typical scandal where it's just like things were never that serious and you guys didn't need to blow things out of proportion, but because you guys are bored and because you guys have nothing better to do, you guys are like, you know what, let's just gang up on this actor or actress and then just completely ruin their lives, you know, just for the fun of the game. So yeah, this category is for people whose actions or scandals weren't inherently bad in nature. Like you wouldn't look at that and be like, oh, you're a piece of shit. It's just like things just happen. You know? After that, we have the tier where it's like you're on probation / I can't be bothered to care. This is for like the situations where it's just like, yeah, I feel like low-key you might have done something wrong, but at the end of the day, it's not that serious, it's not that deep. I don't really care, and I don't think that you should be canceled for it. If you do something like that again, then I'll start turning my eye and being like, I think we need to do something about you. But I feel like the situation just isn't that deep, so I can't be bothered to care any further. After that, we have the we're all human category. This is for the people who, yeah, you were dead wrong. Yeah, you kind of did do something wrong in that situation. But we're all human. We can't expect to be perfect 100% of the time. So of course, I don't expect you to be perfect 100% of the time. Yes, you messed up in this situation, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's not something that you should be completely canceled over. I think it's just a situation that you can recognize as wrong and then just move on and grow from it. After that, we have the yeah, you deserve to be canceled category. Now, they say a broken clock is right 2 times out of the day. Yes, these netizens might be dragging people left and right for absolutely no reason most of the time, but sometimes they're kind of right. Sometimes you gotta go. I'm so sorry about it. You gotta go. And then at the very top tier, we have canceled. You need to be in jail. As the title sounds, this is for people who got into controversies and therefore they were canceled, when in reality they should be behind bars. First to go to trial, we have my queen, Soyeji. And she's a prime example of what I was saying earlier, where it's like a he said, she said type of thing. And if you guys have been here for 2.5 seconds, you would know that I gush and I go on and on and on about my queen, Soyeji. But even when I was looking up all her stuff, I was like, babes, what's going on? Like, is there something you're not telling me? Or guys, I was getting scared because she has like 3 different scandals. And then of those scandals, 2 of them were about like rudeness or mistreatment, but there's a whole bunch of back and forth and he said, she said, so I'm not even gonna go into that. And I don't think you guys care about that either. Her big scandal that ended up blowing up the scenes was when she was allegedly being very manipulative towards her ex-boyfriend. Her main controversy was with her ex-boyfriend, Kim Jung-hyun. And like I say all the time, I don't know how to say Korean names very well, and there are a lot of Korean names in this video, so please do not attack me. So it was said that Soyeji was being very manipulative towards her boyfriend while he was shooting with another actress. It was for like this drama called like The Times, and it came out in 2018. But this caused him to mistreat his romantic interest in the show because he had them like remove any type of intimate scenes that they have together. Like if they were kissing, he was like, take that out. If they were hugging, he was like, take that out. If they had any type of intimate moments, he would tell the producers and basically force them to take those intimate scenes out of the show. And then on top of that, he was just being very rude to the actress that he was starring with in general, and to the point where it just came off as rude, not even just cold, like you're just doing too much and you're being mean. So that was its whole thing in 2018. But then 3 years after that that drama came out, he came out with a statement saying that like, hey guys, yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I'm really sorry about the way I acted, but I just want to let you guys know that the only reason why I was acting like that was because like my ex-girlfriend literally made me. Like, she's literally crazy. She was basically telling me like to stay away from the actress, to not touch her, to not talk to her, or anything like that, because like, guys, she was super manipulative and she was super weird. So like, that's the reason why I did that. Mind y'all, this is like 3 years after the drama came out and everything had already died down. So this basically ended up blowing up a whole new controversy with Soyeji, because everybody was just like, why are you telling your boyfriend not to be kind to his coworkers? Why are you making it so that your boyfriend is giving everybody a hard time just because you're insecure, or just because you don't want him to be intimate with other people, even though that's literally his job at the moment? And then on top of this, when he did make this statement, he did come out with evidence being like, hey, look, these are the text messages that my ex-girlfriend sent me, basically saying, hey, don't get too close to her, hey, don't touch her, hey, I don't want you doing any of this and this and that. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, he came out with the receipts. And then Soyeji's company also came out with some receipts. Well, I will say that they weren't as extensive as his receipts. They had like 1 or 2 text messages where he was also telling her like, yeah, and I don't want you touching up on this person either, or I don't want you being too intimate with your actors either. And Soyeji's company was basically trying to put out the argument that like, hey, yeah, she was kind of toxic, but guys, it was both of them. Anyways, here's my verdict on the situation. I do think it's very important to have the conversation about manipulative relationships where the masculine figure in the relationship is actually the one who's being the victim rather than the more feminine character in the relationship. However, since we didn't really get much information about the situation, it was more like a he said, she said type of thing, I am gonna put this in the we're all human category. And it's just because I don't think this kind of strict, obsessive kind of dynamic that was going on here between both of them was healthy at all. And I think that both parties were wrong here in the way that they kind of isolated their other partner from other people in this sense of like, hey, I don't want you getting close to them, or hey, like, you know, I'm jealous, or hey, like, I don't want you doing this and that. I think that they're both wrong for that. But at the end of the day, we don't really have all the information, so like, who knows what happened. It could have very well been that Soyeji was the one being manipulative towards her ex-boyfriend first, which caused him to be more manipulative towards her as a response to her treatment and her toxic behavior, or it could have been the complete other way around. We'll never know. So yes, I think that we can admit that Soyeji was wrong in the way that she was being very manipulative and telling her ex-boyfriend like, hey, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that with your other coworkers when that's literally his job. I think that we can acknowledge that, but at the same time, do I think that she should get canceled for it? I don't think so. I think this is just one of those issues where it's like, hey, you have some issues and I think you need to work on it. So I am gonna stick to my verdict. We are all human. Up next, we have another one of my babies, Han So-yi. And some of her more popular dramas that you might know her from are from Nevertheless and My Name. And I don't want you guys to confuse this Han So-yi with the other Han So-yi, because the other Han So-yi is like, that girl's crazy. Like, every single like 3 months I hear something new about her, and every single time my heart drops, I'm like, Han So-yi? And then I look at the spelling and I'm just like, you're not even, get out of my face. And her scandal comes from being caught up in another scandal that was huge, which was basically the Harry and the Jun-yo couple situation. I will put their spellings on the screen because I know I butchered their names. And if you guys don't know, this couple was super famous in Korea because they had this like show together. I think it was called Reply 1988. And in that show, they start together, but he ended up being the second male lead while she ended up going with the first male lead. And a lot of people were sad about that because there's a big divide in the show between who they wanted the female lead to go with. So then a bunch of people were just like, oh man, she didn't get with the second male lead. But then people would be like, it's okay though, even though she didn't get with the second male lead in the show, she got with the second male lead in real life because they were dating in real life. But they dated for like 8 years straight and then they ended up breaking up. But very shortly after they had just broken up, Han So-yi was caught with Harry's ex-boyfriend on a vacation, and they later confirmed that the two were dating. Because of this, Han So-yi got a whole bunch of backlash because a whole bunch of people were calling her a homewrecker. And on top of this, what kind of made it even worse was that Han So-yi somewhat mocked Harry on her like story and her post, because Harry had made this one post basically talking about her boyfriend and like the things that he was doing, but she was kind of like hinting towards him. But then when Han So-yi saw that post, she took it as a direct attack against herself, and so she went to go defend herself, saying like, haha, I didn't even take anybody's boyfriend. But she did it in a way where like she stole the last lines from Harry's like post in order to make her post, so it kind of came off as her mocking Harry. And then the backlash got even worse. And it was because she was being even more defensive in other people's comments, because anybody who commented about the situation, she was in there with the quickness also saying like, no, that's not true, like that didn't happen. And it's a weird timeline that I was trying to figure out what was going on, but at the end of the day, no matter how much I looked up, there's no actual evidence that says that Han So-yi was dating her ex-boyfriend at the same time that he was supposed to be dating Harry. And because of that, I'm just gonna run with the story that Han So-yi did not homewreck their relationship. So I heard a lot of people saying that Han So-yi ended up starting this whole controversy because she ended up sticking her nose in a post that wasn't even about her, because if you remember, Harry's post was basically about her ex-boyfriend, not Han So-yi. But then Han So-yi ended up mocking Harry's post and saying like, I didn't do any of that, which ended up bringing attention to the situation in the first place. So people were saying that Han So-yi shouldn't have responded to Harry's post because it had nothing to do with her. But honestly, in my opinion, I feel like it takes two to tango. So if you're posting about your boyfriend kind of like two-timing you or like hinting or alluding towards him two-timing you, obviously people are going to try to find out who the other party in that whole home wrecking situation was. By all means, that means that I'm also going to be involved in this situation if I'm the one dating your ex-boyfriend. So I don't think that it's really fair to blame Han So-yi for trying to stick up for herself in a situation where like low-key I would also feel attacked in that situation, and I would feel the need to say that like, hey, I didn't home wreck anybody. Even more so because she played this character in this K-drama, I think it was called World of the Married, and in that K-drama she was acting as the affair partner. So a lot of people were comparing her to that role that she played and saying that you are literally your role. Like, you are a homewrecker, you're a slut, like you're a hoe. Like, they were calling her all sorts of names at the book. So yes, I would be getting defensive as well. However, I think where she went wrong was her trying to handle it herself instead of letting her PR handle it, because she was coming off very defensive when she was commenting on everybody's post and basically saying like, no, that wasn't the case. Like, no, I'm not a homewrecker. It made it seem like she was guilty. But honestly, I would be bitter too if everybody was calling me a homewrecking slut. So let's be for real. Let us be for real. And then there's even more nuance about this situation because Han So-yi had vocalized that she was a fan of Harry's ex-boyfriend way back in like 2016, which made everybody raise their eyebrows. Because they're like, girl, you're saying like you didn't homework, you're saying that like you didn't steal somebody's boyfriend, but like you've been eyeing this dude for a while now, it seems. So everybody was just like, girl, I think you did homework the situation. However, I'm talking about this person went wrong here and this person went wrong here, when in reality, where everybody went wrong was trying to see who was wrong between Harry and Han So-yi, when in reality, they should have been coming for this bum-ass 40-year-old who wouldn't get off of these little-ass girls. This man is over 10 years older than these girls, and he's over here causing all this drama, causing all this controversy about who did she homewreck, what's happening, and he did not say not a single thing. While everybody was dragging Han So-yi, calling her a homewrecking slut, he did not speak up not once, and he was supposed to be her boyfriend at the time. So if anything, who they should have been canceling was this dude. Anyways, I think that this is one of the situations where the man was just lying his ass off. In my opinion, I feel like he and Harry hadn't fully like established that they were like done for good. Like perhaps they were on like some sort of break or something like that. And then at the same time, he was telling Han So-yi like, me and her, like we're over. Like there's nothing there anymore. Like we're completely broken up. And then that's the whole reason why Hetty had posted that on her story saying like, wow, looks like somebody's stealing somebody's boyfriend. And then Han So-yi was like, bitch, I ain't stealing nobody's boyfriend. I ain't no homewrecker. I think that's what happened. So I'm gonna put this in the you're on probation category. And I'm putting it here because it's like, I can give her the benefit of the doubt in this situation that she didn't think that anything was happening there, because I truly believe this is a case where she had a celebrity crush. That celebrity crush broke up with his girlfriend, and she saw that there was a chance for her to finally get with her celebrity crush, and she took that chance and ran with it. But I think that he was lying about what was really going on in their situation, which ended up messing with the timelines. But if she were to do something like this again, and she was like, guys, like, that wasn't me, like I don't know what happened, like he told me that it was over, like everything, then I would be kind of side-eyeing her like, I just stuck up for you in the last situation, you're gonna do this again? You're on probation. But at the end of the day, I also can't be bothered to care because officially there was no two-timing happening. So I do not care what's going on in people's private lives, and I don't think that Han So-yi should be canceled for what's going on in her private life, especially when it seems like the guy is the issue here. The next case is with the actor Park Seung-hoon. And you might know him from his popular dramas, Squid Game and The Glory. Now, I have to tread carefully on this topic because there's a lot of misinformation going around. And at the end of the day, here's what I got from the situation. This actor was posting a whole bunch of promotional media on his story to promote his drama that had just recently come out, Squid Games Season 2. And of the many posts that he posted on his story, one caught a lot of attention and a lot of wind for being very, very inappropriate. And it was a Japanese corn parody of the drama Squid Games. Now, I specifically had to make sure that this was the thing that he posted because there's a lot of misinformation going around saying that the thing that he posted to his story was actually way more vulgar and way more inhumane than what it actually was. And if you want to go look it up, it's very easy to find out what people were saying it was, but I just can't say it on YouTube for obvious reasons. And now the story goes that he had received that promotional material in his DMs, and then when he saw it in his DMs, he thought that it was inappropriate, so he went to go show it to his manager so their company could basically further investigate the situation to make sure that nobody's making any highly inappropriate material out of the K-drama Squid Game. But then while he was trying to send it over to his manager, he accidentally uploaded it onto his story. But then after he noticed that he posted it to his story, he quickly took it down, leading to the story only being up for less than a minute. I also think it's important to note that the material that he posted on his story wasn't the actual content, it was just the poster or advertisement for the content that was there. And then after the scandal broke, he received a whole bunch of backlash, which also led to him losing promotions and losing sponsorship deals. And then one of the bigger things that happened was that he was dropped from what was supposed to be his upcoming drama with eunwoo, Bon Appetit, Your Majesty. And now here for my verdict. I don't know if I'm gonna sound crazy, guys. I don't know, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm always gonna be honest with you guys about how I feel about certain situations, especially with how sensitive these topics can be. But I truly and honestly believe that this was by accident and he did not promote this material on purpose. And I always say make sure not to vouch for a celebrity too much because you guys don't know these people, and I still stand on that. I don't know this motherfucker. I'm not vouching for this motherfucker because I'm like, oh my gosh, I know he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do such a thing. He's not that kind of person. I don't know him. But based off of the materials and based off of all the evidence that I saw, I truly believe that he did this by mistake and it was an accident. And I especially believe that this was an accident because the character that he plays in Squid Games advocates and represents a group of women in Korea that aren't really accepted. So I don't think he would try to promote that kind of material on purpose, especially knowing what it would do to his career. And his career was just starting to boom as well. Now I know you guys might be thinking that based off of the description, I'm gonna put him in the we're all human category, but I'm actually not gonna put him in there because I feel like that category is for people who did do something wrong or their actions were actually bad in character. Meanwhile, I feel like that's very different from this situation where like I feel like it's genuinely a mistake, genuinely an accident. And I don't think that his actions or like him as a character or as a person tied into the fact that this happened. So I'm actually gonna put this situation in the netizens are just bored and bitter category because Squid Games was never a kid-friendly show. It was always for a mature audience. It's not like he was doing this with Peppa Pig or something like that. It was for Squid Games, and you guys know that there's sexual content in Squid Games. So I think that was just a mistake that should have just been left in the dust because it was only up for less than a minute, but people saw it and people were being bitter and they were being bored and they just love to see people's downfall, and that's why they ended up blowing it out of proportion. And I actually feel really bad for him because it seems like he's the type of person that advocates for people a lot, and even a lot of his co-stars have come out and said that like, hey, like he's a really good guy, like he's not this kind of bad person that you guys are trying to make him out to be. So now that makes the situation even more upsetting because you basically have this person who actually on the other side of things advocates for people, but now he has this rep around others that is very, very nasty. Like when I first heard this situation, like I'm not gonna lie, like I was like, ooh, that's bad, that's really bad. But then after seeing everything that came out, I feel bad because unless you end up digging for the actual information yourself, you're just gonna listen to what everybody else around you was saying, and everybody else is saying that he published content on his Instagram of somebody literally being raped. So it's like, yeah. But now he's not allowed to do anything bad ever for the rest of his life because I literally just took the situation and vouched for him. So if he comes out doing some dumb stupid bum shit and embarrassing me, I'm gonna be real mad. Next on the stand, we have Kim Son-ho. And you might know him from his famous drama, Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha. Now this scandal was pretty popular, so I'm pretty sure most of you guys have heard of it. And it was basically that allegedly, everything in this video is alleged. Allegedly, his ex-girlfriend had posted onto a forum, and she basically said that this actor had forced her to get an abortion in order for her pregnancy not to negatively impact his acting career. And when this came out, Kim Son-ho was quickly dropped from a whole bunch of his endorsements. And I forget if he was dropped from a drama or not, but even I remember that there's a whole bunch of promotional and endorsement materials that he was supposed to be in that he ended up getting pulled out of because of this controversy. But then later, Kim Son-ho came out with a statement saying like, hey, that's not what happened. We actually mutually agreed that we weren't gonna have the child because neither of us were ready for it. And then he also posted receipts of the conversation between him and his ex-girlfriend. And when you look at those conversations, it truly does seem like it was a mutual agreement. And now for my verdict on this controversy, I think that this is another one of those situations where people are just too quick to jump into other people's personal lives and judge them for it without knowing what happened because we're not in their personal lives. We don't know all the details of what happened, but you guys are too quick to like make your own opinions about it. So I am gonna put this in the netizens are just bored and bitter category, but at the same time I'm kind of proud of netizens because, you know, because there is this history of K actors, specifically male actors, coming out or having these allegations put against them of all sorts of mistreatment towards women, and then so many netizens will be quick to defend the man and basically save his career when in reality, like it's looking like you did do those things. It's really looking like it. So I am happy that they are getting mad about these circumstances, but like y'all get mad about the circumstances where there's actually the evidence about it. Y'all be having cases with the most evidence I've ever seen in my entire life and you're just like, guys, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. I need you to pick your battles accordingly, please. But that is my verdict. Next on the stage, we have the actress Kim Min-hee. And you might know her from her favorite K movie, The Handmaiden. And actually, I want to show you guys something. I actually used this actress for a reference for a painting that I did. Here she is, if you recognize her, and her umbrella. I got that reference from The Handmaiden. But anyways, the story goes like this. She was acting in the movie The Handmaiden, and it was directed by this very famous director who was also very much married, and they ended up having an affair. And then on top of that, instead of them being ashamed of their affair that they had that was put on display for everybody to see, they walk around with their heads up high. They don't care. They don't care. I would even say she's proud of it. actually. And I believe both of them are somewhat blacklisted in Korea. And my verdict on this is just as simple as the story. Yes, you deserve to be canceled. I do think that there are some nuances when it comes to cheating where not every single situation can be judged the exact same. However, this is not one of those complicated, nuanced situations, abusive situation. No. This is none of that. Y'all cheated, y'all was proud of it, and y'all don't care. So I'm just gonna put y'all in the you deserve to be canceled category. But one thing that I do think is crazy is that the director's wife hasn't divorced him, because I believe in Korea, like, the person who was not at fault has to be the one to request the divorce, I'm pretty sure. But also because of Korean family laws, if this affair partner ends up having her child and she wants the child to be under her affair partner, the director's family registry, because of the familial laws in Korea, the baby would technically be the director's actual wife's child. However, if she were to end up having the baby on her family's registry, she would end up being the mother of their child. But I don't know what she's gonna do. I don't know how they're gonna do that. Honestly, it's none of my business. It's none of my business. But like, that's kind of weird, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Please let me know. But I think that that's how it works, right? Guys, I said I was gonna bring out this paper and this cheat sheet so I could just read off of it and just get it out of the way, but I have not been doing that, and I've been just yapping. I've only covered 4 people and it's been an hour. Okay, up next we have Hyun. And you might know him from his famous kdrama Chicago typewriter. And it's actually a pretty famous case, so you guys might know this already. The actor Hyun was prescribed this like propofol, and propofol is basically a medical anesthetic. And I believe he was prescribed this because of some sort of treatment that he got, but it was during his treatment that he ended up actually getting addicted to the drug, and he ended up continuing to use the drug even though he didn't even need it anymore. So technically this fell under drug abuse. And you guys know how strict Korea is with their drug laws. He was basically sentenced to 1 year in prison, but I believe he was released earlier this year on probation. And then here's my verdict on the situation. I don't really like how Korea handles their drug cases in general, because in my honest opinion, I feel like drug abuse should be seen as a condition that needs to be treated rather than a crime that needs to be judged. And it's pretty obvious that he has some things going on personally that made him so reliant on drugs in the first place. So I'm hoping that during his time while he was in jail, fingers crossed, he was able to rehabilitate, because he was basically forced off of it cold turkey. So yes, unfortunately, I'm going to be putting him in the we're all human category, because technically what he did was wrong legally, but maybe sometimes the law just isn't well written. Okay, next on the stage we have Song Hye-kyo and Song Joon-gi, and you guys all know this controversy. Now look, I was actually a big fan of both of them before this controversy came out, but again, if you have been here for 2.5 seconds, you guys already know the sides that I have chosen in this whole scandal. So basically their scandal was because they ended their relationship. And I know that sounds weird, but it was because their relationship was so freakishly popular, because they're both 2 really big names in Korea. And then they starred on this drama together named Descendants of the Sun. And in that show, everybody was like, oh my gosh, they have so much chemistry. Oh my gosh, they need to be together. And Song Joon-gi was literally saying that Song Hye-kyo was his celebrity crush. So like, this is perfect. They can end up together and everybody will be happy because they have so much chemistry. And they ended up getting together and everybody was happy. So everybody had their eyes on this famous couple. So with everybody being fully invested in this couple, when they got divorced, everybody was shocked. And even though it was a shocker that they got divorced, it wasn't really the controversy. The controversy that came from this whole situation was how they got divorced. Allegedly, the reason for their divorce is because they disagreed about having children. She didn't want children, but he did. Now, had that been the case, it all would have been fine, and I'm sure like it would have blown over. However, the plot thickens. It is alleged that Song Hye-kyo either did not know that she was getting divorced, or she didn't know that their divorce was going to be made public for everybody to see and hear. And because of this, when news of their divorce broke, she was abroad and she was not prepared for the amount of publicity that she was going to get when she came back. Now, even though that's what we believe to be the story now, because again, we don't really get the full information, at the time when all of this had been happening, all that came out was that Song Hye-kyo and Song Joon-gi were getting a divorce, and Song Joon-gi was the one who initiated the divorce. And then this led to a whole bunch of people blaming Song Hye-kyo, saying that she was the reason for the divorce, and they're like, oh my gosh, she must have cheated, because it was basically like a hot topic, the people she's dated. And people were like, oh my gosh, she's dated so many people, when she hadn't really. She dated like 2 or 3 people, but the reason why people were so crazy about it was because they were all like big names in the entertainment industry. So they're basically saying that it was her fault that they got divorced because she obviously cheated on Song Joon-gi. Now, here's my verdict of the situation. I see no problems with divorce. Especially when 2 people aren't compatible, like in the situation where one wanted a child and the other one didn't want a child. However, where I can't help but pick sides, and when it comes to picking sides, I am on Miss Song Hye-kyo's side, is because of the fact that Song Joon-gi saw all the hate that his ex-wife was getting. He saw all these people basically calling her a hoe. He saw these people calling her a slut. He saw all these people saying like, oh my gosh, I knew it. She could never settle down. She's not the type of person who could settle down. Of course she's this type of woman. I knew she couldn't stay with one man. Basically slut-shaming her all across the internet for everybody to see. And he did not speak up, not even one time on her behalf. have. And now if they allegedly did break up for the reason that they said they did, which was basically the fact that one wanted a child and the other one didn't, you would assume that like since you did love that person in the past and since you didn't break up because of like cheating reasons or something that they did that was so wrong, you would think that you would stick up for that person and be like, hey guys, I know we're not together anymore, but you should not be dragging this person conquer a slut and a hoe because that's not the type of person that she is. But he didn't do that. So I just feel like it's the principle. You get what I'm saying? Because silence is also an answer. If everybody's saying that this and this and this is happening and you're not saying that it didn't happen, it kind of confirms that that's what happened. But at the end of the day, we don't know what happened because they were a very private couple. Even their marriage was supposed to be private, but like somehow, some way, some people got in and that's the reason why we have the marriage photos that we have now. But they had always been a very private couple. So we don't know if somebody cheated, if somebody didn't cheat, if she knew about the divorce, if she didn't know about the divorce, we'll never know. But again, judging the situation based on the things that we have available to us on the internet, my ranking goes as followed. Song Hye-kyo gets the "you netizens are just bored and bitter" ranking because you guys don't know what happened. You guys are only speculating and you guys dang near ruined her entire career. You guys were dragging her through the mud. You guys were not letting her get endorsements simply because she got divorced and you don't even know why they divorced. And then Song Joon-gi, even though under normal circumstances I'd be completely fine with it, because of the fact that he didn't speak up not even one time about Song Hye-kyo and how people were dragging her through the filth and he didn't say a single thing about it and he just let her get completely slandered on the internet. Yeah, I'm gonna put you in the "you deserve to be canceled" category because it's just based off of the principle. I can't put you in the "we're all human" category because bitch, I wouldn't do that shit. So you have to go up to the higher tier and you just deserve to be canceled. Up next we have Kim Hyeora, and you might know her from her famous K-drama The Glory, but she's also been in a whole bunch of other famous stuff. Even if you don't know her by name, I'm sure you've seen her face before in other dramas. Well, not any dramas recently because she kind of got canceled. Anyways, the scandal is, shortly after the second part of The Glory came out, Kim Hyeora's old classmate came out to talk about her experiences with how the actress treated them when they were in middle school. And the victim who came out basically said she extorted money from them and bullied them. And then afterwards, the actress met up with the victim and they had come to an agreement and they had agreed that Kim Hyeora was in fact involved in the bullying, but she was just a bystander. She didn't actually do anything physically or psychologically to the victim. Now here's my verdict on the situation. Low-key, I feel like she just met up with the victim and then paid him a whole bunch of money to go away. But I'm saying that's all alleged because you know how Korea be with suing people. So please take my opinion with a grain of salt. And though I understand that this situation happened a very, very, very long time ago and people can realistically change from so long ago to becoming better people, I'm not gonna put her in the "we're all human" category for kind of the same reason as Song Joon-gi, where it's just like, yes, we're all human, yes, we all make mistakes, but you being human doesn't inherently make you bully people. Yeah, and extort them out of money. And I feel like even if you were like a bystander in that situation, that means you were a part of the bullying group. Just because you were standing there while homegirl was kicking her in the head doesn't mean that you weren't also a bully. I feel like I can't just put that in the same category as we're all human and be like, oopsie, yeah, accidentally made a mistake. I would not make that mistake. I'm so sorry about it. I don't think it's a common thing for people to just so happen to accidentally bully people and extort them from their money. Sorry. So even though I do believe that she can grow from this experience and that was such a long time ago, I am gonna put her in the "yeah, you kind of deserve to be canceled" category because I need to make sure like these levels are balanced and ratioed. I'm not gonna put you in the same category as Han So-yi. I'm so sorry about it. Up next we have eunwoo. Everybody knows eunwoo. Do I even need to say his fucking dramas? Even if you don't even know a single drama he's been in, you know eunwoo. He was in True Beauty. There, are you happy? His controversy was actually crazy. If you guys don't know, eunwoo is also in this K-pop group called Astro, and unfortunately in this K-pop group there is a member who is named Moonbin, and he unfortunately passed away. And obviously since they're in the same group, eunwoo and Moonbin were very close to each other, so he was obviously impacted by the loss of his friend. So this whole thing came out where a group of 22 people, including eunwoo, had made this song in tribute to Moonbin, who had passed away, and it was basically a heartfelt song that they all made together. However, netizens looked at the situation, they're just like, oh my gosh, eunwoo is just trying to profit off of Moonbin's death and use this in order to elevate his popularity. You see how that went from 0 to 100? Yeah, that's what happens when you start talking out of your ass. This shit is such a waste of time. I'm not doing this. The netizens are just bored and bitter. I'm moving on. Up next we have Choi Hyun-wook. And again, you guys might know him from, actually he's been in a lot of famous dramas. He's low-key doing a hit run. He was in Twinkling Watermelon. He was in Weak Hero. There was another one before that that made him super famous. Why can't I remember it right now? He was in 2521, y'all. You guys, that took me so long. Anyways, this dude basically posted his PP on the internet. But people almost canceled him for it. And it was basically like he took this picture of like this award that he got and he posted it, but the reward that he received was reflective, so like it showed him naked with his PP. And basically my verdict on the situation is like, I don't know why why people treat guys getting their pictures leaked differently from when women get their pictures leaked. If we want to go into like the nitty gritty of it, yes, I know there's a big difference because the system that's set up and da 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 da. Yes, I know that. But like at the end of the day, like a guy being a guy doesn't make his pictures getting leaked a positive experience. I believe it was still a negative experience for him. And I feel bad for him because a lot of people were making fun of him and a lot of people were saying certain things about him that just were not very nice. And at the end of the day, like they were trying to cancel him for something that I'm sure he didn't want to happen. I'm sure he did not want to leak his pee-pee on the internet for everybody to see. So it's just like, not only do you not even feel bad for him in this situation, you're also trying to cancel him and ruin his entire reputation and career because of this. You guys are bored. I think he also even got in another controversy before because he was smoking. Would I ever smoke? No. But would I say that a man needs to lose his job and career because he's smoking when literally 99% of Korea smokes? What's going on? Up next we have Jisoo. Not that Jisoo. This Jisoo is from Strong Woman Dong Bong Sung. Did I say that right? Who knows? Anyways, now I tend to be in the loop for a lot of controversies, guys. Usually I know exactly what's going on, when it's going on. Like even when I made this list, when I went to go fact check it, I was right. But even I, who has no life, was not up to date with this whole Jisoo controversy. And here, let me tell you if you don't know. So this actor had a massive, and I mean massive, guys, massive, bullying assault case against him, and it was all sorts of horrendous things that like I can't even say on here. It was some 13 reasons why type stuff on here, okay? And they're saying that he was basically bullying his classmates, peeing in buckets, and doing all sorts of atrocities to other people and his other male classmates that you shouldn't be doing. No touching, and not keeping his hands to himself. It's the way I can say this for YouTube. And then after this whole controversy broke out, he was dropped from his agency and he hasn't booked an acting role ever since. And then after this happened, I never heard of him again, so I just assumed that that was the story. Now, I recently found out, I remember the first time I went to go look it up was when I posted this video, and I think I was ranking like, something. I was probably ranking K actors or something like that, but like I'm trying to wonder why he would be in my K husband's video because like I never saw him as a K husband. So maybe I just threw him in there to balance out the list because I can't just put everybody at number one. I don't know, guys. I just remember I posted a video and I talked about him and I said that like, guys, like I don't really like him though because like this controversy, and then like somebody in the comments was like, that controversy was proven to be false. So I was like, what? So I went to go look it up, and then that's when I found out the real situation. Well, allegedly the real situation. Who knows with these things, you get what I'm saying? But basically 2 years after this whole controversy dropped, he came out saying that like, hey guys, that wasn't true, I didn't do any of that, but like I was already dropped from my agency, and then right afterwards I had to go to enlist in the military for 2 years, so I wasn't able to defend myself. But now that I'm out of the military, I'm gonna be here to defend myself, and I'm just here to tell you guys that that didn't happen. And actually, I'm gonna read out to you guys the exact statement that he gave out. So, where are my glasses? These aren't even my glasses, y'all. These are all foggy and stuff. I actually have glasses, unfortunately, but these are not them. But I'm just gonna use this for dramatic effect. Is it giving Bayonetta or is it giving Librarian? Let me know. He had basically said, I have never done that before, and he's referring to like all the allegations. Does something like that really happen in reality? It is false. I went to a middle school that was a bit far from my house. When I was in the 7th grade, I was treated like a stranger. At the end of 8th grade, my friend was bullied by a group of students, so I gave them a strong warning. As a result, I was beaten up by a group of them. They came and apologized to me, and naturally, I ended up getting along with them. At that time, I also did have some bad feelings towards them, but I thought that it would help to make my school life more comfortable. I was close with them, but I did not bully or assault anyone. And then he also said, I met with A, and I believe A is somebody who further backed up the claims that he was a bully after the initial claims of everything that he did came out. I believe that this is who A is referring to, but I met with A and I talked with him for a while. He thought I ostracized him from the other students because I was close with B, a student who was involved in the gift certificate theft. It's true, I was close with B at that time, so I think that A thought that I was involved in the incident. We talked about the misunderstandings and we resolved the issue that I was not involved. It was not something I did, but I apologized because I was close to B. I would like to once again apologize to A and the other school friends that I hurt. At that time, his drama was being broadcasted. I had to apologize quickly and drop out of the show. My military enlistment notice was already sent, so I could not explain myself properly, and I just joined the military. Y'all, I fucked up reading that like 6 times. Anyways, I felt really bad for this actor because even though I'm usually in the loop with all the controversies that are happening, I had no idea that he was apparently cleared from all these allegations. I can only imagine other people who are barely in the K-drama world, because I feel like unless you go searching for these answers, you might also think that this is the type of person that he is. And it seems like he's actually the type of person to stick up for his friends rather than bullying anybody. So it is pretty sad that he basically completely lost his career in Korea. And then on top of that, I think the person who initially filed these claims is even being sued for defamation by another person because they're saying that he also slandered them on another situation as well. So I believe the person who came up with these allegations has had a track record of doing these types of things before. Now for this final case, what would this video be without Kim Soo-hyun?
Well, actually, you missed just about everybody important and everybody I actually wanted to hear about. Shh.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Now here's my whole simple form of the situation, because this situation is huge. This situation is massive. This situation shook everybody. In fact, I feel like, even though nobody said it, I feel like this situation coming out was the reason why so many people have been under my comments constantly asking for me to make this video ranking these K-actor scandals. Since there was so much stuff happening, yes, I'm gonna read this straight off the paper. I'm gonna read it straight off the paper. Not a single one of this is gonna come from my mind. And then to save my ass, all of this is alleged, okay? South Korean actress Kim Se-yeon, who was 24 at the time, had unfortunately passed away because of slip and slide. And if you don't know, she also had her own controversy, but I just don't think it was appropriate to talk about in this video. But she was basically receiving a whole bunch of backlash because I believe she did have a DUI, and then after that she just kind of like couldn't bear with the pressure of the whole situation, because you guys know how harsh K netizens can be, and just netizens in general who just kind of like to bandwagon and then hop on this kind of stuff. But shortly after Kim Se-yeon's passing, her aunt actually came out with a few allegations towards Kim Soo-hyun. According to Se-yeon's aunt, the two began dating in 2015 when she was 15 and he was already 27. And then even though Kim Soo-hyun and his agency deny any type of underage involvement, and they claim that the relationship happened when she was of legal age in 2019, even though that would literally only make her 18 years old and him 30 years old at the time. Apparently their relationship ended in 2021, and then after Se-yeon's DUI incident, she was dropped from his agency, which she was under, because if you don't know, Kim Soo-hyun has his own agency. I think it's called Gold Medalist, and Kim Se-yeon was an actress under said agency. But then after her DUI incident, they basically ended their contract with her. And then also on top of that, she was forced to pay, I believe, 700 million won in damages. I'm gonna put the conversion of that up on the screen if I remember to do so, but it was basically a whole bunch of money, and Kim Se-yeon could not afford to pay that amount in damages. And I want you to keep in mind that Kim Soo-hyun owns this agency, so it's kind of hard to believe that he doesn't have a say in what happens in his agency. And then around the same time where they were basically telling her to pay the damages, she posted a picture of the both of them together, which made people speculate and start realizing that they might have been in a relationship together. And then after Kim Se-yeon had passed away, images ended up coming out where Kim Soo-hyun was kissing Kim Se-yeon on the cheek when she was still a minor. But then even after these photos came out, Kim Soo-hyun and his agency were still adamant about the fact that they were not in a relationship until she was of legal age. And then after that, another post came out. I believe this was again from Kim Se-yeon's family. I don't know if it was her aunt or not, but I believe it was somebody from her family, where he was semi-nude and in Se-yeon's apartment. And then after that dropped, Kim Soo-hyun and his agency basically filed charges against Kim Se-yeon's family. And then they were also saying that the money that they had planned to give the family, they ended up deciding not to give that money to the family because then it would look like he was being guilty. And y'all, this man is too defensive. He's guilty to me. In my eyes, he's literally guilty. You would need too much evidence, like too much evidence. The amount of evidence that you would need to convince me that this man is not guilty is actually astonishing. Like, if you are able to pull out enough physical evidence to show me and make me think that this man is even a tiny bit innocent, I'm playing the lottery, because there's no chance that's happening. If you guys weren't in this when all the information was coming out, like, it might seem like this is more like, okay, these are the facts and this is what happened. But at the time, it was like all of this came out, and then like after every single thing, Kim Soo-hyun was quick to be like, no, that wasn't me. Like, no, I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that. And he was trying so hard to cover his ass. He was just like, I know it looks like this. I know it looks like this, but like technically, like that wasn't even the case because X, Y, and Z. And then like if you were to look at this from a 45-degree angle, then you can kind of see that like she wasn't even like that for real. And we weren't even like that. It was just too much. It was just like, you're guilty. You're guilty. And then on top of that, the fact that they confirmed the fact that they were in a relationship shortly after she was 18, but apparently they weren't in a relationship before that. But you mean to tell me that the whole time when she was from 15 to 18 years old, you knew her and you were close with her, but then the moment she turned 18, you decided that you want to get in a relationship with her officially? You want me to believe that? Guys, this is real life. This is not hidden love. Because no matter how I look at it, this is some evil shit. Because let me recap for you guys, because I know it was a lot. Let me recap. You mean to tell me that you were allegedly messing around with this little ass 15-year-old girl when you were damn near 30 years old. And then after she got into her legal controversy, you immediately dropped her and broke up with her. And then after you broke up with her and completely dropped her from your agency, which technically means that you basically ended her career, because who in the world is gonna sign with an actress who just got into a DUI drunk driving accident? Who's gonna sign her? You know nobody is. So you dropping her from your label, from your agency, you basically ended her career. And then after you ended her career and stopped her from getting any more income, you then decided to sue her for 700 million Korean won. And then after she unfortunately did what she did, you didn't even go to her funeral, despite the fact that you've known her for such a young age, and you basically watched and groomed her pets from when she was a very young child. And then even though you were so silent about the whole Kim Se-yeon situation when it came out, after these allegations came out, you were real quick to try to save your ass. Bitch, you're guilty. you're guilty and you're disgusting. Not even a joke, but even though I have to put this in a category, like, yes, he's going in the canceled bitch you need to be in jail category, because this is actually some evil shit that I'm seeing, some evil things that I'm witnessing. And actually, I feel like people aren't mad enough about this situation, and I'm mad that he's fallen under this canceled category instead of in jail and behind bars, allegedly. Anyways, that's it for today's video. I know I missed a lot of people. I know I missed a lot of people, but I didn't want this video to be too long. I know I was gonna have to go in detail about a lot of these. I've been recording for 2 hours. My throat hurts. Like, I talk too damn much, guys. Hopefully I can edit this down to like 30 minutes or something, because I don't want to edit another 40 minutes. Oh my gosh. I'm sad just thinking about it. Guys, I'm scared. So I'm gonna be cutting out a whole bunch of like useless information and basically just try to get to the point on all of these. So if you guys really like this video, go ahead and drop some more controversial actors' names in the comments so I can make sure I put them in my part 2. I know something that was very apparent in this video is that I didn't really talk about the more, you know, serious allegations. The most serious one that I talked about was this Kim Soo-hyun situation, and that's just because I feel like that was the main person you guys wanted me to talk about, so of course I had to put him in this video. But like, I didn't really talk about the Burning Sun scandal. I didn't really talk about that one actor from Squid Games. I haven't talked about him either. But just know that if you guys do want a video with those types of more serious types of things, the video will not be very funny. And that's just because I feel like I can't really joke about those situations, because those situations are very serious, and I feel like it's almost disrespectful to put them in a video where I'm just kind of laughing and kikiing about the situation when these are serious victims have come out of these situations. I don't think I could just laugh about that. So I'm just warning you that if you guys really do want to see that video, it's not going to be a kiki. It's going to be very serious. And most of the video will probably be me like this, because like I will have to like look at receipts right in front of me to make sure that like I'm getting everything right. So that's your warning. But if you guys like this video, you guys will like this video. I'm gonna say like hypnotically. I have to hypnotize you guys because I have 2 hours worth of footage to edit down, and I'm actually already getting mad at you guys. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and let me know by hitting the like button. If you really like this video, go ahead and subscribe so you can watch all my videos. Go ahead and leave a comment below. I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. 어디 보자.